Hey, Algebra 1. Okay, so what I need you to do, please, is take out your binders and turn to page 237. You can pause the video while you do that. And once you're there, all right, we're going to take a look at numbers 11, 12, and 13 in this video. Okay, this is something called factoring by grouping, and it's the last thing we've got to learn this section, this chapter. Okay, and it's actually pretty similar to those problems on the page before that you guys thought were pretty easy. So what we're going to do is notice that in this problem, we've got 4 terms. All right, so it's not a trinomial anymore, it's got 4 terms. And what we're going to do is when that happens, we're going to try to group 2 of the terms that have something in common together. Okay, so a couple things I want you to notice. Look at this first term here, 12AC and 21AD. They both have an A, and actually they both have a 3 in common, right? 3 goes into 12 and 3 goes into 21. So those have stuff together. So what we're going to do is draw parentheses around it. Okay. And then we're going to try to factor that common thing out. So we're factoring out the GCF just from these 2 terms. So for 12 and 21, we said that was 3. And then they both have an A, so we'll factor the A out. The C and the D are different, so we'll leave that. So 3A gets factored out. And what we're left with, 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 4 is 12. And then A I already took out, but that's left with a C there. Plus 3 times 7 is 21. I'm left with, I already took out A, so I'm left with the D. So 3A parentheses 4C plus 7D. And then we're going to do the same thing with the other half here. So I'm going to group those 2 terms together. Notice they also have stuff in common. The 8 and the 14, 2 goes into both of those. And then they both have a B. So let's do the same thing here. It's positive, so I'm going to do plus, and 8 and 14 I can factor out of 2, and then do parentheses here. Oops, hold on, I went too fast. Okay, so again, I took the 8 and the 14, have a GCF of 2, so I took that out. And then there's a B in both of them, so I need to factor the B out as well. So 2B, and now when I do my parentheses here, I'm left with 2 times 4 is 8. I took the B out, so I don't have that to, I don't need to have any left over there. And then C will go there, so 4C plus 14, so 2 times 7 gives me 14. I already took the B out, so I'm left with a D there. Close the parentheses. And then what you should notice is those 2 parentheses are the same. Okay, they're identical. So it's just like the problems, I think, 5 through 10 on the, or 5 through 10 on the last page, all right, where we have these 2 parentheses that are the same. So that's now my factor that I can take out. So I'm going to write 4C plus 7D out in front, and then my leftover is the 3A plus 2B. Okay, and that's my answer. And what I've done is I've factored that by grouping, as the method we call that. Right? And if I were to distribute this all back out, 4C times 3A, 4C times 2B, 7D times 3A, 7D times 2B, I would get my original problem, number 11 there. Okay? Alright. So pause the video, make sure you're kind of understanding that problem, and then we're going to move on to number 12. Alright, number 12 here, I'm going to go a little bit faster this time. I'm going to group my first 2 terms together. And notice they have a 3 in common, right? I can factor 3 out. And they also, so I've got 3x's and 2x's, so I can take out x squared. And now my leftover on this side is going to be 3x. Nope, that's wrong. It's going to be 1x, right? Because 3 times 1 is 3, and then x squared times x would give me x cubed. Or I took out 2x's and I have 1 left over. Minus 3 times 4 is 12, and I took out x squared, so there's nothing left over. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing with this pair of terms here. So plus 7 and 28, I can factor out 7. X, but nothing in there, so there's no greatest common factor involved with the x, so I can't take that out. So now I'm left over, I took out 7, so I have an x left, minus 7 times 4 is 28. And if you've done these correctly, you'll find that your two parentheses are the same. And when that happens, now I can write that on the outside, x minus 4, and my leftover is 3x squared plus 7. Boom. Done. Finally, I want to do number 13. So pause it if you need to, otherwise we're going on to 13. Same process here. So I've got 4 terms. You're going to use factoring by grouping when there's 4 terms. So let's do the first 2 together. My GCF there for 12 and 18 is 6. For the R, looks like there's no R there, so I can't take out an R. But I can take out s squared. Both terms have s squared. And what am I going to be left with? 6 times 2 is 12. I'm left with r, s squared I took out, plus 6 times 3 is 18. I took out s squared, so I'm left with t. So I get 6s squared. I don't know what that little mark is there. Let's just write that again. 6s squared, and then times 2r plus 3t. Group the second 2 together, and we get 8 and 12. I can factor out a 4, and then there's nothing left, the r and t, so I can't do anything there. 4 times 2r would give me 8r, plus 4 times 3t would give me 12t. And once again, this parentheses the same as that one, so I can write that in front, 2r plus 3t times what's left over, 6s squared plus 4. Alright, so hopefully that helps there. Thanks for watching.